Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, before Christmas Day, I had to share a beef pepper pot recipe. Now for any of you guys who do not know, I do not eat beef and I do not partake in eating beef. However, a lot of my family does eat beef, so I decided to make this for them for this holiday season. So if your family eats beef and are interested in seeing a delicious and mouth-watering beef pepper pot recipe, then please keep on watching. I made this recipe as quick and as simple as possible because obviously today is Christmas Eve, so if you wanted to put this together within a couple of hours, you definitely could. So in my heavy bottom pot, I went in with just a little bit of oil and I'm heating it on medium-high heat, and all we're going to do is steam our meat and brown that meat. What you're really trying to do here is seal the meat, so this way you can get some flavor going, and so this way you can get all of the rank water or the natural juices from the meat evaporated off from it. That's going to ensure that you do not have any rank taste or any gaminess from the beef. So what I did was I took all of my beef pieces that I had washed really well and cleaned any excess fat off of, and I'm adding them into the pan now. I am using pieces of short rib, I'm using some pieces of the shank, the beef shank, and I'm also using some oxtail in here. You can use whatever cuts of beef that you want. You can use bone in or boneless as per your own taste and preferences. Now right on top of the beef, I'm going in with some black pepper. I'm also going to go in with a little bit of garlic powder, and I'm also going to go in with a little bit of freshly grated ginger. That's my Grammy's tip to me, so this way it can cut any gaminess from the meat and it can add lots of flavor. I'm also going to add in a little bit of chopped garlic, and I'm going to go in with some thyme leaves, and you want to make sure to go in with lots of fresh thyme when you're making pepper pot. You're going to see me add in some more later on because thyme is one of the main flavoring agents for this dish. I'm also going to go in with some bay leaves. These are optional. I just like using bay leaves whenever I'm cooking any type of red meat. And once you add in all of these flavoring agents on top of the meat, you're just going to mix everything together until everything is well combined. Now you could alternatively put all of these ingredients on top of the beef, and you can marinate the beef overnight if you wanted to. However, I find it quicker and easier just to dump everything in the pan and allow this meat to steam. So after I mix this, I'm going to cover my pot, I'm going to let this meat spring its natural juices, and I'm going to allow all of those juices to dry back up and for the meat to start getting browned. After about 20 minutes, this is what my meat looks like. As you guys can see, the meat has started to brown really well, all of the juices have evaporated, and it's starting to catch or stick a little bit at the bottom. Now, being that I'm using short ribs and oxtail today, there is a lot of fat going on in the pan. So as you guys can see as I'm mixing it up, there's a lot of excess oil and fat at the bottom, and I do not want that in my pepper pot. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to transfer all of these pieces of meat out into a bowl with some tongs or a slotted spoon, and then I'm going to drain off all of that excess fat in the bottom of the pot. I don't want to leave any of it because the meat still has a little bit of fat on it that will still be released as the pepper pot is cooking. As I said before, I fished out all of my meat from the pot with some tongs and I put them in a bowl while I go ahead and I drain off all of that fat that's sitting at the bottom of my pot. This is what my pan looks like after I emptied out all of that excess fat that was sitting at the bottom. And if you guys were using a different cut of meat than the oxtails and the short ribs, you might not have to do this step. It just depends on how much fat is at the bottom of the pot. And as you guys can see, there are a lot of brown and dark brown bits at the bottom of the pot. That is all flavor. You do not want to waste that. You don't want to drain that off or scrape it off. You want to leave it right there. So I put my meat back into the pot, and now we're going to add in some other ingredients to start to stew the meat. Once you get the meat back in the pot, you're going to go in with some orange peel. You're going to go in with your wiri peppers. If you don't have those, you can use any hot pepper of your preference. I'm also going to go in with some cinnamon sticks, and I'm going in with some fresh thyme as well as some more finely chopped garlic. Now all of these flavoring agents are my own taste and my preferences whenever you're making pepper pot. This is the way that my family makes it and the way that my grandmother taught me how to make it. If you guys make it differently, feel free to add things, feel free to omit things, just depending on your own taste and preferences. And now the last thing that I'm adding in is my casareep. Now casareep is something where I will give you the measurement for, however you're going to have to gauge it yourself as well. You're going to have to keep on adding until you get the desired color that you want. I also will mention that depending on the brand of casareep, if you add in a little bit too much, then the entire dish can taste a little bit bitter, and you do not want that. So keep adding a little bit at a time, keep on mixing, and then you'll gauge and see how much you want. And I'm also going to go in with some brown sugar. This is going to add a beautiful sweetness and just round out all of the flavors of the dish. And before I forget, I'm also going to go in with a hefty handful of salt. You want to make sure to add in a good amount of salt so this way this dish is flavored to perfection. Remember, we're going to end up adding a lot of water to this, so it's going to be diluted a lot more. I also went in with just a little touch of black pepper again, just to keep on flavoring the dish. And at this point, I'm going to mix everything up until all of these ingredients are well combined. Now, what I basically want to do is on a medium-high heat, I want to keep mixing this and allow the casareep to sear into the meat for just a little bit. This process is just going to take about 5 minutes. After you achieve a beautiful dark brown color such as this, you're going to go in with some boiling hot water. Basically what you want to do is you want to cover the meat and you want to go over the meat just a little bit with that water as well, so this way the meat can cook properly. Remember, oxtails, short ribs, as well as the beef shanks, they tend to be very hard cuts of meat and they tend to be tough, so you want to stew them for a little while. So all I'm going to do now is mix this up really well, get everything coated and gotten off from the bottom of the pan and the sides of the pan. And then I'm going to cover this and allow it to stew and do its thing until all of the pieces of meat are nice and tender. Before I cover this to finish letting it stew, I just wanted to show you guys that I'm adding in a little bit more casareep because I find that the gravy really needs some more color. You're going to see that when you add in the water, you're going to be able to gauge better how much casareep you actually need in the dish. So I'm going to stir this, cover it, and allow it to cook down. So this is what my pepper pot looks like after about an hour and a half of cooking. As you guys can see, the gravy has actually darkened up a little bit. I ended up adding in a little more casareep throughout the cooking process because I wanted it to have a little bit of a darker color. And as you guys can see, it's thickened up a bit. It's definitely reduced down. All of those sprigs of thyme are stripped of all the leaves. The orange peel has started to cook down. I've went ahead and I felt the meat and I decided that the meat needed a little bit more time to cook. And when I gave this a quick taste for salt, it needed more salt, so I added that in and I adjusted there. If you taste it at this point and it needs anything else, feel free to add it now and re-season. And I'm just going to allow this to cook for about 30 more minutes until the meat is properly tender. So my pepper pot has been cooking for about 2 hours and 15 minutes at this point on a medium-low heat. And as you guys can see, the gravy has gotten even thicker, it's gotten a little bit darker, and the meat is nice and tender. So at this point, it's ready to serve and eat. So here is my finished pepper pot. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you do not eat beef, you can feel free to omit the beef and use any other type of meat that you wish. I already have a lamb pepper pot recipe on my channel that I'll have linked in the description box below. I also have lots of bread recipes on my channel so you can sop this up with as well. Again, everyone, I do not partake in eating beef because of religious purposes. However, a lot of my family does eat beef, so please be mindful in the comments down below and not be hateful at all. Just be respectful. If you enjoyed this video today, please don't forget to give it a nice big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed yet. Come on over and join the Matthew's Guyanese cooking family. And of course, leave those beautiful comments down below. I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye, everyone.